Elijah, in 1 Kings chapter 17, you come to a palace, you meet a king without courtesy, without protocol. You say, before God whom I stand, there shall be no rain or dew except by my word. They will cut your head. But the guy knew the powers of righteousness. He didn't say, I come as a prophet. He said, before God whom I stand. That's righteousness. Righteousness by right standing. Because I'm standing in the present. He said, there shall be no rain or dew. Even the king knows he can't dare say kill him. And Elijah walks away. They think it's caricature. After 1 month, no rain. After 2 months, no rain. After 3 months, the king called his servant. That brother that came the last time, what did he say his name was again? They say, it's Elijah the Tishbite. He said, where is he? They said, nobody knows. What do you mean? Doesn't he have a house? They said, no. The man travels with wind. That's when the king started discovering his credentials. Is there a man in this kingdom that travels by whirlwind? They say, yes, that's the man you saw that day. So why did you people tell me? They said, we didn't know you are a king, so we were afraid. Go and get him here. Well done. They started looking for him for 1 year. They didn't find him. You know what? If Elijah goes and sits in a brook, even bird will feed him. The power of righteousness can rule over nature. Birds, and not just any bird, ravens, the most wicked of all birds. Because God will watch to ensure that everything you do prospers. And God himself will command the bird to bring you bread. Which bakery was the bird going to? They looked for him and they couldn't find him. A point came, even the king joined the search party. And king too was looking for a man. King was looking for a man. When Elijah decided to come out, he now sent the king on an errand. Go and wait for me on Mount Carmel. With all the prophets of Baal and the prophets of Grove, I'm coming there. When you are reigning from the realm of God, you reign above the realm of men. So the kings of the earth can't stand when the kings of heaven are talking. And Elijah showed up like a prince of Zion. He didn't even salute the king. He went straight to the prophets of Baal. You are the ones that have business with. If you say you serve a God, we will do a sacrifice now. Let your God bring fire from heaven. The question is, where have you heard before that fire comes from heaven? He knew because it happened in Genesis chapter 18 and 19 in Sodom and Gomorrah. So he knew that fire is in heaven. And if I have a right standing with God, I can demand something of heaven. It will come to earth. I'm telling you, the powers of righteousness. When you find a man talk and heaven respond, know that he's righteous. Because when the Bible spoke about it in James 5:16, he spoke about Elijah as a righteous man. And the guy said, try for the whole day. Me, I will wait till evening. When they were trying, if you are the one, you will be afraid. Will this thing work? Will it not work? When they were trying, he came and said, did your God travel? Maybe you should shout a bit louder. And the people were shouting. A point came, they started cutting themselves. That's human sacrifice. So that blood will come on the altar. Nothing happened. Even if their God used to call down fire, that day Elijah locked the heaven. Because if their God don't call down fire, they won't try it. Because it's a life or death contest. Elijah locked the heaven. And when they tried and tried and tried, and it didn't work, Elijah said, arrest them. All of them will die today. And he showed up. And the Bible said he created an altar. He set 12 stones representing the 12 tribes of Israel. They didn't even know that the guy had intelligence. He waited until evening because evening is the time of sacrifice. He knew the protocol of his own God because he's standing right. So he knew the hour of sacrifice. The Bible said, let the lifting up of our hands be as what? The evening sacrifice. So they thought he was waiting. He was telling them, wait till evening. That's the time when my own God receives sacrifice. If you are not having right standing, you won't know. And when that hour came, the guy set it. He now said, fill this place with water. I know you people think it's dry wood that causes fire. Put water there. And when they put water, he lifted his voice and prayed. And the fire of God came down and licked it up. That is righteousness. That's what it means to reign. Where men fail, that's where you shine. Where the devil dominates people, that's where you come to establish God's government. And it's not out of religion. It's because you have right standing. The nature of God in you, you also have right standing. So you can invoke the powers of your consecration. Now, how do you operate right standing? It's not going to obey the laws of Moses. No. is to obey the law of the spirit of life that is in your spirit. The Bible said the law of the spirit of life that is in Christ Jesus had set you free from the law of sin and death. So every one of us here who have eternal life, the laws of life regulate you. That's why when you offend somebody, you can't sleep. That life will tell you, call and apologize. Even when you go to the altar, you are praying. The moment you want to ascend, you will hear, you sinned. You wronged your brother. Go and apologize. If you want to operate right standing in righteousness, you will stop that prayer. You will go and call him and say, I'm sorry. You know why? If you kill that voice, a point will come, that voice will not speak again. And when that voice stops speaking, you can fornicate and come and sing. And you will think singing is about good voice. And you can sing like a harp. The glory of God will not descend. Because you don't have right standing. You may have the nature, but your standing makes you a beast. So you can't participate in the commonwealth of Israel. And that's the problem of many Christians. When life was trying to regulate them, they shut it down. Because they didn't know that righteousness is not just a nature. It's also right standing. And it is the operation of the spirit of life that will tell you whether you are standing right or not. There are many times when it's not even that you fornicated. Life can tell you that in this season, you have been recruited to join the intercessors to pray. Because there is a gap in the spirit. We need 50 intercessors to pray for Ghana. You were the one chosen. So you may be a prophet, you may be a politician, you may be a carpenter, but that season, you have been made an intercessor. And if you don't function as an intercessor in that season, you have violated righteousness. And that season may be for 3 months, it may be for 6 months. Every night when you get home, the moment is 1 a.m., you start rolling on your bed, you can't sleep. And you will wake up, you will know you are supposed to pray. What am I praying for? You may not even know. But a quorum needs to be complete. Because you are the righteousness of God, God has recruited you. It's just like workers in this church. When you are a worker in this church, pastor can wake up today and say, join media. And you are working in media, and then 2024 January, he calls you and say, this week, join the ushers. You can't come and say, no, I enjoy media. No. There's a law that governs the house. If he says, become an usher, yes, sir, you go and join ushering. That's what makes you righteous. So, by nature, you are part of the church because you are a member. But by right standing, you must obey what the pastor says. Otherwise, you can't participate in what the church is doing. Because anything you do will be like cancer. You know what cancer does? A cell grows out of proportion, so it's no longer in alignment. So, although that cell is growing, but that cell is a challenge. You have to cut it off. And that's the problem with many Christians. Sometimes, we don't know that because we have the nature of God, we are part of God's army. And God can decide and say, this month, all the money that comes to your hand, we need it for orphans. Because you are standing right with God. You know that your money is not your money. You are a trust fund. That's higher life. And so, although you work for the money, when you collect it, you will give it to orphanage. Because that's what heaven demands of you. You are not sinning. Because it's not just about sin, it's about right standing. You know what right standing is? God can see through your eyes. God can speak through your mouth. God can stretch his hand through your hands. God can walk through your legs. And God can function through your money. Because everything you have now belongs to God. That's when Jesus is your Lord. But I can tell you, many don't know righteousness. That's why we are Christians, we are not reigning. Go to the hospital tomorrow. What is happening to the people of the world is the same thing happening to us. Go to work. The way the worldly people are crying, things are hard. That's how all of us are crying. The question is, how then can we be light to them? We can't be light. And the reason is because we are not righteous. All of us need doctors. All of us need the same help that the people of the world need. So we can't operate in the higher life. If we want to function in the higher life, we must first of all solve the issues of righteousness. We must stand right with God. And we must sustain the nature of God. Anywhere God needs me, I will answer. This is not about ministry. There are many ministers who are not righteous. God tells them, leave Accra and go to Takoradi. But they say, God, this is capital. Life is better here. And they think ministry is about program. They think ministry is about human strategy. And you can do it for 40 years, heaven won't know you. Because you are not standing right. And so if you want to reign in life, matters of right standing will become a must to you. And this thing is not just, I'm not sinning. This thing is, whatever you say I should do, I will do. That's how Paul lived. And if you begin to live like that, the powers of heaven will begin to support you. And anything you touch anything you do will prosper, because you will